Welcome to A Funny Thing Called Business. This is where 4 business owners with over 30 years collective experience under their belts share the capers and triumphs of running a small business and how we now avoid perilous customer chaos and pitfalls. I'm Clare Whalley. We also have
Darren Langley,
Kate Curry,
Pete Morgan.
Welcome, guys. So today we are talking about the joy of texts. Yes, you heard it right. The joy of texts. So we're going to be sharing about all our customer interactions through our business, about texts, and let's include WhatsApps in this as well. So let's start off with what's your funniest story or experience you've got about texts and WhatsApps in your business. Kate, I'm definitely going to start with you because you have the biggest, cheesiest grin on your face.
I don't know why. Well, means of communicating with clients, for me, there's already too many. And my daily communications feel a little bit like I'm stood in front of a tennis ball machine.
Yes.
With a teaspoon, trying to bat the balls back. The vast majority make it back over the net, though, so it's not too bad. But text messages, it's just adding another dimension to your communications. And occasionally I'll get somebody who might say to me, you haven't replied to my message. I'm like, right, okay, well, was that on one of my 5 different email accounts?
Only 5?
Was it text messages? Was it WhatsApp? Was it Facebook Messenger?
Yeah.
You know, was it on LinkedIn? Because sometimes a lot of correspondence happens on that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't cope. I don't know where it is, and it can make your head spin, can't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So so I try not to use it if I can help it. However, it slips through the net, doesn't it? And it only takes someone to have your mobile number, and then that's it.
Yeah.
A lot of correspondence slips into that, and
Yeah.
then of course you start talking in slang speak and putting acronyms in and emojis and strange aubergines and all that kind of stuff. Like, this is getting onto perhaps a different level to where it should be.
So do you communicate with clients over text?
I try not to. I think there's a couple that we do. But I think the thing to do is just reply to it on email. Oh, I got your text.
Yeah. That's a great way of
Here's
doing
my
it.
response.
Yeah.
Because it slips through in the evenings as well. You know, you start watching, a bit of Netflix or whatever, and then your phone pings, and you think it's your mum, and it's not. It's someone asking if you've done those amends that day.
That's the thing.
Or you get a problem. That's the worst
Yes.
thing. And then it slips through the net, and when you're not in work mode, and then it's bothering you. Then
And then it's a
keeping you
sleepless
awake.
night,
Yeah.
isn't it? Or,
It is, yeah.
11 o'clock in your office.
Yeah, I get text messages. My website's down. Okay. Here we go.
No,
Yeah.
There goes my evening.
Yeah.
And it's not my fault. It's usually something, either at their end or the web host's end. And
Because there's 2 ways of thinking about that, isn't there? There's the one way of, well, listen, it's your business.
Yeah.
So it's yours. It's 24 hours. I'm awfully sorry. But there's plenty of people, and I think there's at least one sat around this table who are like, listen, it's after 5 o'clock. I'm awfully sorry.
Yeah.
But that's it. The office is shut.
Yeah.
I can't ignore it. I have a client who only communicates in WhatsApp, and I can't.
Are you
ignore it.
happy with that?
No, not really. I prefer emails, but and so I have a client that does purely on WhatsApp. I have another one that does quite a lot on text, and I have another one who really only communicates on Facebook Messenger. And that's it. We'll respond to an email, but Facebook Messenger is how they communicate. And it does, like Kate says, you get a bit like, what the, who the, where the?
Yeah.
So when you're trying to create a paper trail and go, no, wait a minute, we said this date or we said this time, you're like, right, okay, where am I looking now?
I know.
It does, it gets...
It can be like finding a needle in a haystack, especially if you come back from being away and you don't communicate over your phone. And then I come back to a lot of Facebook notifications. I know I'm going off tangent here, and I'm like, oh my God, there could be like hundreds if I've been away for 2 weeks and I've got no chance of finding
No.
it's nice to be popular, isn't it?
Very much. So I loved a story that I read just looking at how some businesses use text service. Absolute Vodka. I don't know whether you heard about this, but it was this year. They launched a new product and wanted to host this exclusive party in Argentina. And only 2 tickets were available. And to win, people had to convince Sven, this virtual doorman on WhatsApp, why they should win. So it created loads of engagement. You know, they had thousands of messages and audio files and videos. So, you know, that is a great way, isn't it?
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's only for certain products or certain services, I think.
I bet they ended up having to mute the group in the end because they're just
Oh, God,
ping,
yeah.
ping, 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 ping.
Yeah.
Turn this off for a bit.
Some poor interns trying to get
Yeah.
to sleep, going, "Oh, wait a minute, another
no.
notification."
Yeah, they said
Wait a
it was
minute.
they said it was a virtual doorman, but it's actually just the
Yeah, it is.
intern.
Oh, no.
Something to answer them all.
And can you imagine some of the videos they got as well of like groups of, I don't know, you know, just all on the vodka. It must have been hilarious. So,
I love you.
yeah. No, I love you.
Give me a ticket. Brilliant.
So there's no 2 sort of dangerous stories that have happened with clients.
I had one that I wasn't going to share.
Oh,
but
see, I felt that.
Come
then.
on.
I felt
Yeah.
it needed poking a
Well,
little bit more.
Firstly, here's a little text message tip for you. Maybe a mobile phone tip, I don't know, which you probably already know. But you can set up, what's it called, text replacements on iPhones, and there's probably something similar on Android, where you can just put in a shorter code and it'll fill in the rest of the words. So, for example, on my phone, if I want to put my email address into a web form on the website, or put my email address on a text message.
Yes,
I've
I
set
want
it
to
up.
do that all the time. I
Yeah,
thought
you
there
don't
must
have
be
to
an
type
easy
it. There
way.
is. So
Tell
you can,
me.
well, if you go to your settings and keyboard and then text replacements on your Apple device, then you can set up a shortcode and what it should replace that text with. So I put in that symbol, and that pops in my email address every time. Saves you a lot of time texting. You know, the old
Darren, you can go home now. Your
Yeah,
work is
yeah.
done for the day.
That's-
But
That's
let
really
me,
good.
Well, that is good. But let me just give you a warning story, because I'm quite I think I'm quite a romantic sort of guy. You know, I'm quite,
Would your wife agree?
I don't know. But this involves my wife, because she's the person I text message the most. And normally when you text message your loved one, you might put a couple of kisses on the end or
Oh,
something
no,
like that.
you've not set up a short code.
I set up a short code that says love you and about like 10, 15 kisses at the end of it. And all I've got to do is type in LX, hit enter, send it off. There you go. At the end of every message.
Does she know this?
I think so.
Just now.
I think so. Brilliant.
Automated romance.
Oh,
she she receives them anyway, so she gets, and so at the end of pretty much every text message she'll get love you. Well, so the warning story is, and you might get a couple of steps ahead of me here, but I had a client, a potential client, who emailed me, and actually I think we spoke on the phone, and then they text messaged me their email address so I could send them a PDF and next steps and things like that. And I replied back, maybe it was quite late at night, I don't know. Thanks, received it, send the email off. And then I hit the LX and enter and sent it. And so they got a message that said, thanks, I've received the
Love
email
you.
address. I'll send you the love you, kiss, 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 like 10 kisses. It's not the sort of thing you can accidentally type. It's not just 2 kisses.
No, you really thought that through.
Exactly, yeah. So then it's like stalker territory. Long story short, I didn't get the work. So which actually, I think is kind of quite cruel.
And then your wife
really.
gets a text message, regards, Darren at darrenlangley.com.
Oh yes, I should change the short code now.
I totally think that serves you right for
Well-
trying to short code I love you to your wife. You deserve everything you didn't get. Brilliant.
I love that.
Brilliant.
Because I've done that. If I've been talking with my wife, I don't have a short code.
Don't do it.
No, I'm not going to. But also with a lot of my friends, I generally end my texts with P and a kiss. And I was doing that and then switched over to LinkedIn message, and someone had done that. And just that sounds really good. We've set up the meeting. It would be good to actually see you. P kiss, send. And that's so quick.
Yeah.
It's muscle memory.
Well, and it's like 2
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But you can kind of
Send.
apologise for P kiss or just a kiss kiss.
Yeah, not 10
Love
kisses.
you, 10
No.
kisses. That's,
But who doesn't like to be told that they're loved?
well, that's what I thought. I thought, should I apologise? Well, what should I apologise?
Exactly.
But they didn't reciprocate, so I was kind of, felt a little bit.
Maybe
fronted.
they just think of you more as a friend.
Maybe, or a would have been web designer that they're not going to work with or speak to ever again.
Brilliant. So, guys, we're all old enough, to be asked this question. Is there anything you'd wish you'd done differently? When WhatsApp came in or, text message first started?
I can think of one thing. But...
Yes.
I think not kind of joined as many groups or just kind of learned how to quickly exit groups.
Yeah.
Because there's so many groups that I'm on now, and I know, Claire, you've spoken about kind of your local neighbourhood group that you mute a lot. But the muting just doesn't do it.
No. Well,
Just
I've
doesn't do
exited.
it.
I exited.
Yeah,
I was
and
brave.
I think well done, and that's the thing. I'm really not. So I'm in too many groups now where it's like, no, I can't. And I think the other thing is, I wish I'd have switched over to. I do a lot of voice notes now on WhatsApp, and on
I
iPhones
like
you can
those.
do that with text messaging as well. The beauty of the text message, though, is it disappears after a couple of minutes after being heard. So the voice message doesn't hang around.
Say that again.
So on your iPhone, if you send somebody a voice message through the text app, so through messages, which you can do, once they've listened to it, it disappears.
Oh, it's a bit Snapchat.
A little bit like Snapchat.
That's even harder to track the paper trail.
Yes.
Exactly. But if it's just a voice note, you're just looking at a kind of a waveform, and you're like, what did we say in this one? I'll have to listen to all of it. So yeah, I quite like using the voice note function. I should have done
I
that.
do.
Should have done that ages before.
It's quite handy if you say "love you" at the end. You're like,
Exactly.
Damn it. Oh, it's
Can't
all right.
get that
I'll be gone
wrong.
in a couple of minutes.
But because of course the danger with WhatsApp is you can see if they've seen it,
Yes.
and see if they've read it. That I think is one of those that's proper stalker territory, where you look at stuff and go, "Oh, come on, you've not even read that now. Come on."
I know.
Or if you accidentally click on it, go, "Oh no."
Oh, they know
It's 11:30 at night and I'm sat with a glass of wine and I've accidentally clicked on the message. Now they know I've seen it and they think I'm ignoring them, which is just even
Which you
worse.
kind of are.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah. I like the double click feature myself, the double tick.
Yeah,
thing.
it's good for
Keep track of
like
people.
friends, isn't it? It's good in
Yeah.
your friends, and they're like, oh yeah, they've
Well,
seen
that
it, so I
depends
know
if
they'll
they
be back
reply
in.
or
If they're good repliers, they're either in the middle of something or they will come back to you pretty quick.
Yeah.
So it's good for that.
It's when you're kind of closing the chat and you just see at the top, such person is typing. You think,
Yeah.
they're replying. I'll wait. No.
No.
It's like
And then it stops.
Yeah. So it's like on messages, you get the 3 dots.
Yeah.
And I downloaded a little GIF of the 3 dots. So I would
Right.
send that to my wife. And after about 15 minutes, she'd kind of message me going, "What are you trying to say? What are you typing out?" Because it just looks like I'm
Oh, I see what
constantly
you're saying.
typing. Yeah,
Oh
it just
my
looks
God,
like I'm typing all the time.
Pete, you're so annoying.
Well, I could suppose just say that I love her, but, where's the fun in that?
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I'm gonna
That's
do that.
funny. This episode of A Funny Thing Called Business is sponsored by Joanna Drinkwater, who is a multi-award-winning chartered accountant, business and finance professional, and managing director of Grant McKnight. Grant McKnight is a firm of qualified accountants, tax consultants, and business advisors with international Big Four finance backgrounds. This month, they have been talking to clients and local businesses about the financial reporting implications of coronavirus government support. If your company has received any grants, furlough payments, or bounce back loans, then you will need to ensure that these are accurately reported in your latest annual accounts. Self-employment, income support, scheme grants for sole traders will also need to be accounted for in the correct tax return periods. HMRC will be pursuing inconsistent grant reporting, so it's important to get your 2020 and 21 information filed correctly. For further information or to arrange a free non-committal consultation, please get in touch with Grant McKnight. So in one sentence, what have you learned about yourself or your business through using text or WhatsApp for business?
Not to.
Okay, that's fine. Mine was I love boundaries.
Yes.
And I'm really pleased I set those boundaries early on. And now I probably harp on about it too much, about not using my phone out of hours, but it works because it's very rare that a client will text me or WhatsApp me.
Is it possible that, I'd be interested to hear what you think, is it possible to kind of set those boundaries when you've not had those boundaries? So if there's a business owner listening who've been like, oh, yeah, that sounds a great idea. I've got no boundaries. Maybe that's what I need to put in place. How easy is that?
Well, it's harder, but still doable. If there's something in your business that you don't like, and if you don't like, being hounded by texts and WhatsApps, then it's very easy to just tell the client, look, I'm trying to streamline my business.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I get back to you in a timely fashion. That doesn't work for me over text or WhatsApps. Let's work out something that works for both of us.
Yeah. No, I like that. Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Got to start doing that, I think.
Yeah, you have to.
Can you do that with family as well? Is that...
Yes, definitely. My family know. When I'm away, here's Rob's phone, text him. That's it.
Really?
Yeah.
If it's an emergency, don't bother me.
No, well, because I haven't got my phone. So I just text, I'm going now. Find me on Rob's phone if you need me. They never phone me or text me whilst on holiday. Works.
Yeah.
Well, remember the old days when you used to go on holiday and you used to have to leave the hotel details for all your family?
Yeah. And get those little phone cards and find the nearest kind of phone booth.
Yeah.
What time is it there? Is it raining and all that kind of business?
Yeah.
Now you're FaceTiming from...
Exactly,
You know.
FaceTiming like from the beach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
instead of chilling out. Oh, absolutely. I remember the good old days.
Oh, yeah.
Except with text messages, the good old days where you had to press 3 times to get like the letter I or something.
That's
Oh,
it.
yeah.
That was quite painful.
I got really good at that in that this is... Now, listen, kids, don't do this. But I could kind of touch text and drive. So just have the phone and think,
Pete.
I know what I'm saying.
It's not the kids you want to worry about hearing you say
to be
this.
fair, yeah. So, I mean, kids in the broadest sense of the word.
Yeah.
It is that, I know that, I can... You can't
was
do
you
it...
using Morse code?
Well, because it was the raised keys,
Yes.
you could,
Yeah, you could
feel
feel-
your way around where you can't do it on a touch screen. So I don't do it now, just
No,
in
of
case you
course.
know, officer. But I would do it, when I could kind of reach over, get my phone and think, yeah, okay, that's the home button, that's the 1, the 2 and the 3. Okay, I can say, I'm on my way or something.
Yeah.
You must have all
Yeah.
had really powerful thumbs back then. From
I
all
know.
that daily exercise.
It's all the video game playing.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Snake.
From the
Snake.
80s, Atari.
Yeah. And still now, I like to keep informed.
Yeah, and of course now you, instead of having to do the tappy, you can dictate your text messages.
You can.
You can say like, I'm on my way, and it will type out, my mum's gay, or something like that. Something like
Yeah.
really good. It's good technology.
Kate, what have you learned about yourself through text messages and WhatsApp?
Oh, well, I totally agree with the boundaries thing. And I think there's a place for your, friends and family, and then there's a place for business. And I think it's really important, actually, to try and make sure that they don't cross over.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want my family emailing me either.
That's
And,
true.
Yeah, I wouldn't think to look for something off my mum, like on my email inbox and, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I find that with text messages as well, you end up not having the same level of professionalism, and you'll be like, lol, and things like that.
Oh, I never lol. I hate lol.
No, I never lol.
There is a story.
Only ironically.
I don't know if this is true. There's apparently the story of somebody who misunderstood what LOL stood for and thought it meant lots of love. So when somebody messaged and says there's been a tragedy in the family
Yeah.
or something, she was like, oh no, lol.
Yeah, it's like text message. Your granddad's died. Lol.
Yeah. And they're like, it's not funny.
See, that's another thing actually that
Yeah.
annoys me. People sending big information, bad and good, via text. I'm like, no, let's do this in person when I can really celebrate or commiserate.
Yeah.
Someone, when you, I don't know.
But I think
just
even,
don't
it
like
was
it.
kind of business stuff as well.
Yeah.
It is like, so there's one particular client who I'm raising their prices in the next year. And we generally talk over text. And I started to kind of put it into a text,
That's
and I
not
thought,
a text message.
that's not the way this should be.
Yeah.
So I gave him a call, is the way
Yeah.
we did it in the end, and we spoke over the phone. Because I also think there's a real loss, and this happens with email. When we talked about emails, this came up. That loss of a tone of voice
Totally.
can be an absolute killer. Because
Yeah.
I find that if I'm writing texts or writing emails, I sound quite cross. I always think I sounded cross on them. So I think, oh no, I'm going to have to call, because this just makes me sound like I'm irritated by it.
Yeah, that's obviously that's where emojis came from, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're an idiot, smiley face, all that kind of stuff. But the problem I have with emojis is that I found out that emojis actually, with my service provider, means that your SMS is an MMS when you put emoji on it, and the MMSs are outside of my plan, which means every time I send an emoji, I'm paying 10p for it. It's like, I ain't sending no emojis.
Not that you
So now when I say to people like, oh, you're an idiot, they just have to take it.
Well, you could just put lots of love at the end of it.
That's true, yeah.
You're an idiot. Love you. Kiss, 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 kiss.
I think this is the important thing we have to remember, using those right platforms, like you say. If you were to send that price increase to a client, I think that would really pee them off.
Oh, absolutely. If I got it.
Yeah.
If I got a WhatsApp notification from, someone that I'm in the supply chain of, and they were like, just to let you know, price rise is going up.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
No. No.
That's not the way it
Exactly.
works.
So I feel like I know the answer to this before I ask the question. But what's your biggest challenge you have right now in your business over WhatsApp and text?
Well, I mean, it's kind of comes back to what Kate said. Getting messages on different media just means you can't manage it, you can't track it, can't action it. I have a very particular process when it comes to emails.
Of course you do.
Indeed, yeah. Where I'm effectively flagging them to follow up and all of that with a text message. Once you've read it, you can sort of mark it as being unread, I think, if I remember correctly. So you can with WhatsApp messages. So you can mark it as being unread and then kind of come back to it later. But you don't really have that opportunity to sort of flag it in the same sort of way and manage it and come back to it and track it. And then you lose the message, and then they start asking you why you're not replying.
Yeah, you have a night's sleep and it's just totally on.
Of course, yeah. Otherwise, what are you going to do? Must remember to reply to that text message tomorrow morning. And that's going to be...
But I think this is
night's
why
sleep.
lots of people are feeling very kind of overwhelmed and anxious at the moment, because there's all these different things in all different places that you've got to remember, like to-do lists everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It's keeping track of the... Well, it really shouldn't be keeping track. It should be, as you said, Claire, it should just be streamlining. It
Yeah.
should be like, right, we need to bring this down. So,
Yeah.
I'm talking to people on email. That's the way we do it.
Yes.
And everything else.
Friends and family, text, WhatsApp,
Absolutely.
clients, email.
Yeah.
Oh, that's mine as well. It's like keeping everything always under control. I think it is. It's a constant, because new clients come on and they think, oh, it's okay to text her, or it's not. Let's stick over email because my phone's not always
The other thing
switched
with
on.
that, of course, people might think, I can get a quicker response if I text than if I send an email. So I've got a question for Darren or for Claire or whatever. So I'll just send you a quick text message. Here's my question. On the receiving end, you get the question. It's like, I need to go and check that. So I need to go onto my computer, look at this.
Yeah.
Is it that? Is it this? Come back to you. It's no quicker for the person receiving the text message
No.
to
It actually
respond
feels a
to.
bit intrusive almost.
It's very
yeah.
intrusive. It's like,
Into your...
I'm really important. I'm texting you right now, so give me the answer.
Yeah.
It is.
Hey, our times have changed, because I'm telling you, 20 years ago, if you'd have got a text, you're like, oh my God, I've got a text. Someone's texting me. This is amazing.
No, it's like people knocking on the door, isn't it? Or you're like, who the hell's that knocking on the door?
We're like that.
Like 20, 30 years ago, that was completely normal.
Yeah.
Well, your door would be unlocked.
Yeah.
People would just come in.
Like neighbours.
Yeah. Now it's if our home phone rings. It's like, who's
Yeah.
calling on the home phone? All right, Grandad, what are you doing? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, it's a...
It is Grandad.
Sales call.
Yeah.
You know.
Kate, do you have a challenge?
I think it's just making sure everybody understands what your process is really, and that includes, granddad or whatever. Don't send me an email or ring the house phone. Just do the same thing everyone else does, and that way it just keeps everything much more tidy and neat. It's a constant battle, isn't it? Just trying to keep things a bit more compartmentalised. But I suppose that's the challenge, isn't it? But if right at the outset you establish, this is how we're going to communicate, which does work well, but you have to be prepared to, I suppose, make some changes.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm trying to move even things out of my inbox now, because that's getting overwhelmed.
That's the same as what I'm
so
doing.
I'm like, right, now I'm going to move this onto my dedicated Trello boards. But of course, then we start talking about where should we go for the Christmas do, and I'm like, no.
Get it on Trello.
Yeah, that should be that shouldn't be there. We should be talking about that, something else, because that's really outside of the projects that we're talking about in that particular space. So it's just trying to constantly manage what gets talked about in which area to keep it a bit more neat and tidy.
Yeah. Listeners, are you control enthusiasts just like we are? You will speak to me in the way that I want you to. So let's talk about the silver linings. Let's pull out some positives. What are the silver linings when it comes to texts and WhatsApp with business in mind?
I think it's kind of almost the reverse of what Darren says, is there is that potential for immediacy of, so we were talking about it in kind of a negative way, but it does have a positive thing of, right, okay, we can get this sorted now, rather than sending an email that, they've emailed about something that really does need to be sorted within the next hour. And it's a case of, they've texted me, I can sort it now, rather than, I'm not checking my emails till tomorrow morning, so there would be a problem. I think it's the potential kind of silver linings. And as much as, like you said, Kate, you relax, you get, and you're right, you do get a little bit kind of more relaxed and looser with your language and your kind of emojis and stuff with client, but they do with you as well. And that, again, I think can sometimes form a better bond between the two of you if you've only ever spoken. Because there's so many of my clients, and I think actually it'll be the same with all four of us. We've got clients that we've never met, that we've spoken to on email, or so the kind of the text and the WhatsApp is kind of the next best thing to meeting. That it just is a little bit more
informal,
relaxed. So that's
That's true. I mean, if someone's, say, for instance, as I said earlier, if someone's website was down, I probably would rather they sent me a text message than, called me or banging on the door, or if it's out in the inbox and having been diverted to spam or some sort of,
That's
so
correct.
so you are right. I mean, if there's an issue, then that's
it's
kind of
good
understandable.
in emergency situations, isn't it? I had to WhatsApp a client that I needed to cancel on because an emergency came up last minute, and I WhatsApped her because I sent an email, and then I was like, I need to make sure she's seen it. So for that, it's like the old days when you perhaps didn't want to meet a friend or go out, but you had to because you've said I'll meet you at such and such, so you had to be there.
Or you just wouldn't turn up, and it'd be the next time you saw each other at the youth club. That's when they kind of go, "Where were you?" And you go, "Oh, was that then?"
Well, I was having a chat with my niece, who's 20, and she was saying how, all her friends are just always cancelling on each other all the time because it's so easy to be flaky. And I was like, well, in my day, and I hate myself for saying it, but it's true. You arrange to meet someone and you're there.
And you had to watch TV live, and there was only 3 channels, and I tell you, it's like the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
Good times.
They should probably rebadge it then, so it's like WhatsApp brackets only in emergency.
Yes.
I don't care WhatsApp unless it's like really life or death. Then you can do it.
So what's your positives?
Well, I have one other tip related to text replacements in messages when you put, D@ and get your email address, is if you can get hold of someone else's phone, like get Rob's phone, put in a shortcode that says Rob and change it to I like poopy. Then whenever he types his name in a text message and sends it really quickly, at the end of his messages...
We're definitely getting...
say that.
Getting a measurement of your home life, Darren.
This is why text messages should be for private life and not for business.
Yeah.
You've learned the hard way. Kate, what are your silver linings?
I mean, I suppose in some ways it's a negative and a positive, having so many different channels we can communicate on. So, you know, it's great that we've got all these different options and it helps us. They're like used in the right way. They are really good tools to keep things, you know, keep conversation flowing and make sure that we, you know, are staying in touch with our network and our families and friends and in the right way. So, I think it's just using things in the right way, isn't it?
Totally.
Yeah.
It's the same for me, you know. There are so many opportunities for connecting through your business, but it's making sure that you're connecting in the ways that your audience wants you to.
Yeah.
Find your audience and be selective. Don't just think, oh, I'll just use everything and smash people at every direction. So, yeah. Good to chat, guys.
Always good to chat.
Good to chat.
It's been like text therapy.
We couldn't leave it on a better note. So please share, subscribe and review so our fellow business owners can enjoy, be inspired and always keep focused on the fun side of business too.
Love you.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.